In a few weeks, it has.
Okay, do you want me to do this full screen
Uh,
or like this?
like that,
Okay,
because we're gonna,
shoes up.
it'll be hard to talk, but there's only supposed to be Julia here?
And Tuan was here at 5. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Tawan,
4, Tuan, yeah.
Swansky. So we should, because danger is really important with improv.
What is danger?
Yeah, because you're supposed to be a little bit uncomfortable. Only just uncomfortable enough to be just outside your comfort zone, outside your envelope, but not far enough outside that you're scared to get out. So you don't want to be traumatized, but you want to be just enough to expand the envelope. So we'll start, getting dangerous. And so we should probably wait as much as we can till everybody's here, so we can enter danger together.
What time is Julia's surgery over?
No, I just made that up. I don't know what her lame excuse is. I think she's
Did she
probably,
say how many minutes?
she said to be a little late. Something like that. It's like when a doctor says this is gonna hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
I really, that ain't
Let
it.
me text Tuan if he's coming for your workshops.
Yeah, Twansky, get your haunches over here, you rascal. Oh, look at this. We got the infinite,
Tom Heather says to her, yeah.
love that.
Not Hunter, Heather
Infinite.
specifically.
So let's do this while we wait for them, because I will be arguing today that all creative thinking is good for us in important ways. And so that's why I play Wordle at the beginning of every class with my students. With the real students.
Heather, because he accidentally called me Heather the other day. So I'm gonna
Oh.
give him a hard time about that until.
Good.
Just call him Tuna. Yeah.
Who, Tawan?
Tuan, they call him Tuna.
Well, I can't wait till he's promoted to
I
Dean.
call you Harper.
Yes.
Harper?
Yeah.
I can't wait till Tawan is promoted to Dean so I can call him
Ding
Dean.
ding.
Dean, Dean.
Is
I
he, is he
haven't-
trying to be you?
No, maybe.
No, but I insist that he does, just so I can call him Dean,
Ding
Dean.
ding.
Okay, who wants to go first? You guys or me? It's us, it's me against all of you.
Oh, it's horrible. I'm horrible with the Wordle.
Me or you first?
You first.
Okay.
You will guess it. Pupil? What's pupil?
Okay, and this is what my students don't do. I put up a word that they don't know,
Yeah.
and they will be silent, and I'm like, okay, something's missing here. And what's missing is they're not asking me what the hell that means. And there's a learning moment there. Why are they not asking? And that moment of not asking is the one I'm trying to get in a class, which is where improv can come in really handy. There's a question, and then there's not a question asked. Something is questionable like that, and then they don't ask the question. I'm trying to figure out what is blocking them from doing this. What's blocking them from asking the question? A kipu is a ancient Inca thing for storing information. Those are quipus.
Oh, nice.
So, okay, so now it's up to you all.
So what the black means, that none of the letters
None of
there?
those letters are in there, yeah. All these gray ones down here, they're all eligible to be in the word. What do you got?
Shade.
Shade.
Oh, nice.
So
Oh,
the
okay.
S and the D are used, but not in that.
Not in
order.
Right, so
right
not in that
place.
position, yeah, so let's say, let's say, oops,
There is no S.
All right, okay.
and there's also no, but it's not there.
Oh, but so it can't be ducks.
No, because
Oh,
it's always
I see.
somewhere.
Okay, always somewhere,
Yeah.
and seeing care nowhere.
So if the class gets it on the first, if they get on the first guess, then everybody in class gets 5 points extra credit. If they get it here, it's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And if I get it, then they don't get it.
Okay.
They don't get Jack S word. If I get it. So it's me against a whole class of like 20 people. And you can imagine they're scared to say the word to make a guess because they're afraid. They don't want to make the guess for the whole class, and they're afraid what other people are going to think of them. And that is the crux of the biscuit when it comes to improv, why I think this seminar and the practice of improv can be really important, because it gets you past that discomfort zone. The more you practice getting past the uncomfortable bit, the more comfortable you...
DR.
Oh, would probably have to be next.
Oms.
I know, that's the.
Dron. And,
Wrong.
and
Oh, drawn.
drons. Like dron. That's how you spell it?
Could be a drum, but there's
And
no...
S, it has to be S.
Yeah, there's no... It has to be an S, so...
Yeah, if you put, drum would have an E,
I mean-
D-R-O-N-E.
Drops would work. Yeah, there's no E because these are the dark gray ones.
And droll is usually 2 L's.
Yeah, droll would be, ooh, yeah, probably. They wouldn't,
And it has to be O, yes, because it has to have vowel.
Yeah.
well, the O could be there.
It could be.
What about drool? No. D-R-O-O-L-S?
Has to be
No, that's too.
S at the
Yes,
end
yes.
though. Drops, drogs, drars, drows, drowses, dropses, drops, drops, drogs, drows, drows, drolls, drows, drums, drums. I'm gonna say the O is not there,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
because that was too hard. Now
Is the
what?
R there? That's the next question.
D, oh, yeah, the R might not be there. There might
Yeah.
not be an R period, okay. I'm gonna go with a no
Put
on
an S in the last spot.
Oh, you have to
Yes.
spell it.
No,
as
you
you're
don't
going.
have to
It's
spell it.
like,
Unfortunately, that doesn't help.
yeah.
See, because it could be DRESS, but there's no E.
So what? Vowel, A-E-I.
Can't
The
be
only
any of
vowels
those.
that are
O is there.
Oh,
Y,
sometimes Y acts as a vowel.
Y and O are the only vowels left.
So
D-Y.
What about dolls? D-O-L-L.
The O
No,
can't be
is it-
second, yeah.
Because I thought
That'll be
it's
second.
Doyle, but it's not.
Diode, a diode is not spelled correctly.
No, oh, it doesn't.
Wow,
D.
this is hard.
D. D.
Hey, Julia.
Where it's our turn.
Okay, you see your turn right now.
So
Oh my gosh, I've never
here's
played
where we're
this
at.
before. Okay.
The D is at the beginning. We
Yeah.
know the O is not next. We
Okay.
know the S is at the end. This is where we're at.
Hmm,
And other than Y, we have no vowels.
No vowels?
Oh.
All of them were eliminated.
Yeah.
I, U,
We
E,
have O
and
and
A.
Y.
O is there.
A, E, I, and U are gone. All we have is O
So
and
F will
Y.
not be there, G will not be next.
Right.
T will not be there, R might be there, D, V, D, W. Dinos, okay.
Not a
Oh,
word.
not word.
Well,
That was worth a
it's a
shot.
good word. I mean, it's good.
It seems
No,
wordy,
it's
doesn't
not.
it?
It was kind of a word.
It seems
DB will
wordish.
not be there.
It seems wordish.
D, R, D, W.
But there were just.
Oh, Susan?
Yeah.
That's all we have.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Hi, Susan.
We both made a mistake because
Are you
we,
joining us?
yeah, is that okay?
Yeah,
Yay.
perfect.
Oh, good.
So it's your turn.
Brain cells.
We were hanging out on ET10, yeah.
It's your turn.
I've never played Wordle.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
good.
so do you know what-
Quit. I
so-
usually quit.
Hunter, so the first letter is D, the last is S, O is somewhere in between, and only you can use the gray letters.
The
So we're
light-
trying to come up with the word.
The light gray ones.
Okay.
Light gray ones are only eligible.
Yeah, the light gray
Light
ones,
gray
thank
ones.
you.
And the O can't be
So
second.
like,
Yellow.
It has to be an
Yes.
R,
Okay.
doesn't it?
Yellow means it can't be
Oh,
second.
W.
Or D-R-Y.
No,
No,
that
that's
was-
no letters.
DWODOY. Could be something OY, I suppose. Yeah, this is a hard one.
Are you saying that? Or are you really thinking that?
I'm thinking it's hard. I can't figure out what the heck's going on.
That's a word.
Can't be DL, DLA, DRA.
It could be. It's gonna be DR something, I think.
DY or DY, you cannot use I. It's that great.
No, R, I was saying.
Oh, DI.
DRYE.
Os, dryos.
Is that a word?
I mean, we can find out easy enough. Dryos, dried, stripes, dried,
Dories?
drice.
Like the fish?
Wow, what if that's a word?
DORYS?
Well,
that won't drop mine.
You think that might be a word?
Is that a word?
Oh, there's a word.
Oh, geez.
Nice, dross.
How did you come up with that?
Which means what the heck does that mean? Something regarded as worthless or rubbish. It's exactly how they look at Wordle, and I am contending that it is anything but useless because it's allowing us to do creative thinking, and creative thinking is just massively important. So let's go in here. So this is me. Now, everybody know everybody's name?
No.
Julia. What's your name, Julia?
It's Julia.
Oh,
I'm Elizabeth? No.
That's my sister.
that's Terry,
Terry.
and this is not Heather,
Not
Not
That's-
Heather.
Not
Not Heather
Heather.
either.
not
Not
Hector,
either?
No.
not Hector.
Another H.
It
Not-
is an H and it ends with an R.
Not Heather,
And
not
not her.
Harper. I know.
We're back to Wordle.
We are, it's Wordle,
No,
it's Namal, it's name Wordle. Hunter,
It is Hunter.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was
And
that.
this is Magdalena, affectionately known as Magda. I call her Mogs,
Yes.
and that's Susan.
I'm Susan. Susan Rhodey.
Susan, one of the Susan Rhodey's. You're the primary Susan Rhodey, then there's that other one.
No, the other one is more status and length of employment.
No, but it's like if somebody looks like a movie star,
Yeah.
I always say the movie star looks like you,
Oh.
because that person's with me, they're the reference point, right?
That's funny.
I think it's demeaning to say they look like that other person. I go, yeah. So, okay, so there's our names. So here's the thing about improv. The basic function of it, how many of you have heard this before? How many of you know that about improv? The dynamic of improv is yes and. So improv is ostensibly a kind of acting. And so the acting happens where one actor says something, and the other person in spirit says yes to whatever they're saying, and then they add to it. So you come in the scene, you go, hey, Mrs. God, how you doing? And then that person becomes Mrs. God, and they add to that in some way. You know, hello, Bobby, God's dog. You know, you could go anywhere with it. So here's a, let's watch some people, and this might be useful in your human development classes if you haven't seen this before. Let's look at a nice improv attitude, assuming that the
Be bad for young kids. We drop in on the all outdoors kindergarten where Mother Nature sets the curriculum.
ABC News Nightline. Nightline continues from New York City with Bill Lear.
All right, fellow parents, what is more important for a 5-year-old to learn? The ABCs or the sound of a magpie? Tonight we visit a kindergarten in Washington State where every day is a field trip. Here's Sharon Alfonsi out in the trees.
So what I'm getting at here, what I think is really important to pay attention to here for what I'm trying to address and discuss with you in the improv thing is watch their attitude, especially. Watch these kids' attitude.
Deep inside a 5-acre forest, down below where the worms live slow, this is where the wild things are. They snack on leaves. That would be okay to eat?
The tea's pretty good.
And berries. What do you call it? Forest candy. Okay. All right. The kids know 21 different words for mud. There's silky mud, and what are we doing? Spotty mud.
I showed this glowing eye.
Oh my goodness. They can also recognize the calls of dozens of birds.
We know raven. What does the raven sound like?
They're unusually well versed in the world of decomposition, metamorphosis, and insects, and enjoying edible hand warmers.
Because they're warm and you can eat them. They're actually potatoes.
Getting dirty here is celebrated. So there is always a puddle to splash in.
Gooey, gooey mud, gooey, gooey mud. I like to stomp in the gooey, gooey mud.
Or a mud pie to make.
Is it delicious? Yeah.
Welcome to Cedar Swamp Nature Forest Kindergarten on Washington's Vashon Island.
We're not in Southern California. No, it rains here about 9 months out of the year. I strongly believe that children cannot bounce off the walls if we take away the balls.
So that's what Erin Kenny, who's been teaching preschool for years, did. She created a kindergarten that meets outside every day, no matter the weather.
It's sort of counterintuitive in our culture. However, it's been shown that recess actually helps kids perform better academically. Where's the giant smash stuff?
Kenny, a former lawyer, was inspired to start the school after reading Richard Lou's Last Child in the Woods. In the book, he coins the phrase nature deficit disorder to explain the lack of connection between children and nature, arguing that deficit is responsible for the rise in childhood obesity, attention disorders, and depression.
What are the books? In America, we believe that preschoolers need to learn letters and numbers to get a jump start.
Kenny does not prepare lesson plans ever.
Our philosophy is what's called interest-led.
What does that mean, interest-led?
Interest-led means that the children are the ones directing the day. We don't come to the school.
Like a recipe for disaster.
And actually, it's not, because if children are allowed to sort of move at their own pace, and they are the ones that are spotting things that pique their curiosity and allowed to explore them in a hands-on way, they can become very focused.
We saw that the children spent the entire day outside without a single complaint. What do you do in the forest all day?
We play.
You climb?
We play.
You play?
You're not going inside for lunch. They're not going inside to use the bathroom. They're outside all day long, no matter what.
A lot of the kids actually choose to go to the bathroom outdoors. And I'm talking about peeing.
Yeah.
We do also have a composting toilet that the kids can use if they want to.
I can hear teachers everywhere rolling their eyes, but this sounds bananas. This sounds like hippie craziness.
My belief is the reason we don't have it in this country is we are very much an indoor culture here in America.
Often it looks like a commercial for laundry detergent.
How muddy is she when she comes up?
It depends on the day. It could be, if there's a giant mud puddle, she's covered in mud. Yesterday she got a mud shampoo from another kid. A mud shampoo with her permission.
When it's this cold and this rainy out, do the kids get sick?
The children at our outdoor preschool are healthier than children in an indoor preschool. Colds and flus are caused by germs, not by being outdoors in the cold and wet.
And at the end of the day, parents call their children to the forest edge in a unique way. With that, the wild things head home. But domesticating them, well, it's no easy task.
Changing
For
clothes.
Nightline, I'm Sharon Alfonsi on Vashon Island, Washington.
What's the age limit? Because we don't want to enroll there. Thanks to Sharon Alfonsi for that. And coming up next,
Okay, so I'm gonna argue that even when they watch that, it awakens something in them watching that. So there's something inside these adults watching it like, what's, that is like in our natural self to be like that. And notice that that also gives a depiction of a certain amount of danger, right? They're running around with their sharp sticks and they're jumping, they're banging each other's heads off. They're eating stuff that maybe wouldn't be the most advisable thing to eat. So there's a certain amount of danger involved because they're pressing the limits. And that's what improv is all about. Only here we talk about ego danger. We don't mean ego like someone having a big ego. We mean the Freudian sense. The ego is the part that runs our personality and grounds us to reality. So ego danger is saying you're a little bit uncomfortable, but not so uncomfortable. The picture I like to draw is this one. We've got our envelope. We're getting outside the envelope for ourselves and stretching what's comfortable, but you don't want to get too far outside and get traumatized and not want to go out again. So it's a continuous process of stretching, and improv, one of its jobs in life is to give us tools to stretch. So we get to do some stuff in class today that has to do with that. So, and here's my question, which I've posed to my classes recently as well. Compare a room full of happy 4-year-olds, right? What are they going to do when they get into that room? What's going to happen? You put 5 happy 4-year-olds in a room, what's going to happen?
Oh, they will be all over.
I'm sorry, what?
They will be all over, running around, asking questions. Actually, they will be exploring each other's toys.
Playing, right? I mean, it's just going to be Playsville. They'll pick up something, look, it's an airplane. And they're like, wow, why is your hair so weird? It's just everything. There's no censorship happening, and their flow is happening very normally. So that's what we try and get into. We try and tap into that with improv. And so what I say to my students is, now you're 20 years old and you're sitting in this classroom, what prevents you from being like that? So what do you think? What does prevent our students from, but like I offer extra credit now if my students are talking to each other before class starts. Because I don't allow any phones or computers of any kind once class starts. But before that, they're zeroed in, they're one with their phone, and there'll be no sound. The only students I can hear making sound are crickets, the cricket students. And so two of my classes, they're talking to each other about anything. It doesn't even have to be psychology. I'm like, okay, extra credit. And they've learned, those 2 classes have learned like, boop, 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 boop. So what's going on? What's happening? Why aren't they asking questions, making comments? Is it just me?
It's the different attitude.
And how?
What I mean by that is they are following some social norm, or perceived social norms, and what they feel is expected of them. They don't want to be wrong.
Right, and expected of whom? Like, where did this stuff come from? Do you think?
Well, I think they're kind of trying to follow what they feel is their norm, is how they're expected to act.
Yeah, and where do you think that came from, the expectations?
From parents, from school, from
school itself.
Everywhere, from school.
Come in, sit down, be quiet, pay attention. But
yeah, a lot of times in the development chapter, I'll show this film and I'll say to students, what do you think about that? What, if you were raising kids, would you want them to go to this school and so forth? Very common that they'll go, but what about their ABCs and their numbers? They're not learning them when they get to first grade or.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir over. I'm early childhood, by the way.
Yeah.
Hi.
I know, yeah.
I teach this.
Yeah.
But no, it will come, and a lot of pre-literacy comes from just conversation and talking.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have the experience of what the things are, why are we reading about it?
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember I was even saying to Hunter right now, the girl who had the worms in her hands.
Yeah.
I would come every day. My dad had a outdoor garden, and each time, actually, I would find them everywhere. But especially if I went and to the garden, I would come home and I had both pockets filled with them, and my mom would take my jacket to put it and all of them would spill out, and she's like,
Oh,
oh my
cool.
gosh, can you please check her again before she enters the home so she doesn't bring it home? But I had all of that. I was the one that whenever there was a big puddle, I was the
Yeah.
one who would check how deep it is, and if
Yes.
I fell, and my mom, this one episode, I think I was 5, maybe 6, and it was this big puddle, very long, narrow, but turned out to be very, very deep. And because it was rain, after the rain, my mom says, put the rubber boots on, the rain boots.
Yeah.
So I did, but I also put made out of not needle, not knitting, but crochet.
Yeah.
Skirt that had a big like holes in it,
Okay,
because
yeah.
it was like open, and I put that on it, and I had some random other clothes. I look pretty much like you would say clown, every color of the rainbow. And I went out and I saw this, and everyone like, oh, Magda is here. She's gonna check it out for us, because I tried to find long enough stick. And I'm like, I was gonna walk in. I'm not waiting for a stick.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and I could hear my neighbor yelling to my mom, Miss Kruszyńska, can you see what Magda is doing? And I went in and fell into like half of
Nice.
the things, and then I just step out, pour the water out, step in, and then I'm like, the shoes can stay. And I still remember, I can still see myself to decide to swim in it,
Oh,
in
yeah.
that mud. And my neighbors were so pissed off, and my mom was like,
There you go.
Nothing
So you
can
didn't
be
get the
closed.
message from your mom to shut it down,
no.
but the neighbors are trying to send that message
Yeah.
to shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Tales from childhood, and I'm just, a little older, right? So different time. But I was running in second grade. I was running down the street, and then sister called us in. So I was running, and I couldn't stop running, and so I was trying to stop myself on a tree, and I stepped in a little mud. And sister wound up as hard as she could.
Yeah. So you learn, so
So
you're
it's different time though,
getting this powerful
well,
message.
if I went to Catholic school, that would be it.
Maybe, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
If I
but
went
it's still,
to the school and brought that mat into the school, that would be it. My parents believed you have to explore the life.
right,
And-
and my parents were really upset,
Yeah.
I mean, they pulled me out of that school.
Yeah.
But still, it sent a message.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so what I've found, and I'm wondering if you have too, is I found Triton students, well, also Moraine Valley, I found that students are academically wounded. They're scared to say comments, they're scared to ask questions, and there's a lot of silence. And so,
To be ridiculed, yes,
Yes.
because they are afraid to be ridiculed.
right, so I'm thinking it's this, and the more I talk about with students, the more we get to this, they're afraid of being ostracized from the community, from others, okay? Especially gets imprinted on them in adolescence, where it's so important to be connected. So then I look for ways to release that, and this is one I found. When I show my own vulnerability, they relax and they get more comfortable. And so I'll do all kinds of things to do that,
Yeah. I do lots of mistakes.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
because I'm like, okay, guys, what just happened? Where am I at? And they're
Right.
like, well, I think, I'm like, that's what it is.
and I'll say, how many of you ever space out? It's like, and I go, I don't even wait, I go, okay, right, actually, all of them. So that's my favorite question. They say, I just spaced out, what was that you said again? Then they get a piece of chocolate immediately, because that is like my favorite question. What, could you go back and what was that again? How they're experiencing that the whole class, all during life, and so am I experiencing that, that's a great question. Can we, investigate that again? So as we're getting these messages, of course, the research, the neuroscience is saying we're forming ourselves a brain around this. And so if we're going to undo it, we need to undo it. And one of the great ways you can do that is improv, because this is pushing us it's allowing us to feel the discomfort over and over, just a little more of it till we get more and more comfortable. And like Antigone, we were just talking about how important it is for our students to take a speech class. So they can be uncomfortable and do it over and over and over until now they're comfortable speaking when they go for a job interview, when they go anywhere.
Yeah.
They need to go through that discomfort to get there.
We have a lot of anxiety today in my classroom because of the job fair.
Yeah.
And they were so freaking out. And,
really?
Oh gosh, yes. And I'm like, what's happening? And says, I'm going there. And I say, so what's the big hold up? Well, what do I ask? How do I ask? Do I have this? And I say, just relax, take a deep breath. Do you know your name? Yes.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, ask 5 questions.
Or just start doing it because it's a skill.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to the 20th table,
Yeah.
there were a lot of companies there. That was interesting. By the time you get to the 20th table, you're just going to get better and better and better at it. I keep, in psychology class, it's easy to do because I keep going, hey, more good news. This is a skill. No matter what. Pretty much everything we arrive at in psych class is a skill they can learn. So here comes this guy. I'm so glad I discovered this guy recently in that book. I hope that we could do in the fall, the coddling of the American mind.
It's already approved and it's already in a catalog.
Yeah, so thank you. That one's so cool. That's where, everybody in grade school gets it.
And you will be that book club.
Oh, man, I can't wait. Everybody in grade school gets a trophy. That's what that book is about in one sentence. Everybody. And so what this guy's saying, and they use his research in the book. This dude, Nassim Taleb, meet like 3 times, meet 3 or 4 times.
3 times.
3 times courses.
And I think I would do at 4 or 5 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Okay, and then you read a third of the book, you get together and discuss, and it's just really valuable discussions. Last fall was great.
I divide by pages, so however, and to finish the chapter, I hate to split the chapters.
And this is really easy reading, and I got it from the library, downloaded to my phone on their app, and then I listened to it while in the car or when I was walking. But so this guy did research, and they go into him in the book. This guy from NYU, who interestingly is a statistician. His expertise, his PhD is in statistics. But he started talking about college students' minds and what's happening to them, and how in college we keep sending the message that their minds are fragile, and we do it a lot of ways. We do it like you can't hurt anyone's feelings. Nobody can lose at anything, there's so many messages that say you can't handle it. And so we have to treat you with kid gloves. And then some smarty pants people would say, no, people's minds are more resilient than that. But this guy coined this term, which I find extremely useful, anti-fragile. Our minds are actually anti-fragile. They need to lose. They need to get their feelings hurt. They need challenges just like our muscles do when you go to a health club. You need the challenge. You need to have it working against you for it to get stronger. So he makes a really excellent case that our minds are anti-fragile. And then, of course,
didn't you say before that you cannot know what the reward is if you get the failure?
Yeah.
You cannot know that it's so special when you never experience that.
Yeah.
Not receiving it. And I believe you said that in one of the workshops we had.
And so it's sending a message to say you're fragile. It's like my very first therapist, when I went to him, I said, oh, this, that, and the other, I did this thing, I did that thing, and now I'm a mess. I'm so anxious. I'm freaking out. I don't know what I'm going to do. And his response was, you did it to yourself. Yeah. So that's sending a message that he believes in me. I can handle this. I have confidence in you. You're going to be just fine. And man, did that help me out. I got so less anxious when he said that because he was believing in me. And so these things we're telling us biologically affect us biologically and socially. And I mean, people's biological situation ends up better when they see themselves as anti-fragile. And like they were saying in that
Can
thing.
you explain
from-
biology? I know the social and psychological. What's biological?
If you, for instance, if you're not stressed out, it's good for us biologically. If you
But
meditate,
how?
well,
Good
if you,
health, okay. So
yeah, it's all-
biology, it's the health, yes?
oh yeah, it's our body.
Breathing
Okay.
and.
So mind, body, yeah. So if you meditate, for instance, it's fantastic for us biologically. All the measurements of, from biology indicate that, wow, that is great for you. That's great for us to do that.
Lowering your blood pressure.
Yeah. So what I've read from what's often considered some of the greatest school systems in the world, which would be like, let's say, Finland, they've got 2/3 of the day during all of grade school is recess.
One more time.
2/3 of their day. Oh wait, what'd you say? You didn't hear what I said? 2/3 of their day is recess.
In Finland, yeah.
In Finland, it's
Yeah.
playtime. And they have very little homework.
And
this
part of
is,
it is also due to the vitamin D, because there is very little sun there. So the kids
Well-
actually are getting pills at school, the vitamin D. But
There you go.
recess was driven also because of vitamin D by the time they
D.
leave school.
And so these guys, when they're out in the forest playing, and I'm asking my students, you know, do you think that's worthwhile, or what do you think about them spending that time doing that? Then I go to Erickson and say, look at these skills that Erickson is hoping we grow, and they're growing all these social skills, all kind, you know, emotional regulation. They're growing all kinds of stuff that's going to pay off big time and make them much more productive later. Like the guy I was talking about in the other seminar, who did research on naps, and people in the workplace who take 20-minute naps are much more productive. And so, but people's schemas, though, their map of reality can't handle new information, and they bounce it out and say, I just can't hear this, you know, that play is so important, like we had in the last discussion we had when we were doing play. So let's say we get to this. So let's do this. You ready? We're going to play music on our desks.
I can't kill a beat, just so you know, but I'm ready.
Good. So that's excellent. So you're going to follow me when I do this. We'll go. Outstanding. See how good you are at that? Boy, my students would have a hell of a time. There'd be like 4 or 5 students who can't get into it. The H Squared had she sent me an email and said, I want to be addressed as they. And I'm like, I'm never going to get the hang of that. So I just nicknamed
Oh, you
her.
have H squared?
I just named her H Squared. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's that they are,
Diana Hunter.
yeah, oh.
Yeah.
Hunter's amazing. They
Hunter.
are fantastic.
What,
I'm
their
very proud of
family?
them.
Their family or?
No,
Oh,
they're with my
them, you're
students.
saying them, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
she's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
They-
awesome.
yeah.
See, I did it again.
Yes.
And because I'm not gonna handle the pronoun thing well, I just nicknamed her H Squared. And she said, I don't know, and she checked with her parents about what that meant, because H times H, and she had 2 initials, HH. And when she found that out, she went, oh, that's gonna be just fine. So now I call her H Squared, and so does the rest of the class. Like H Squared was saying, you know. So anyway, it was her birthday on Saturday, and I went to the Triton Circus. Highly recommend that. That was outside the box. It was
Triton
fantastic.
what?
Triton Circus.
I was so sad
We
that
have
I
a
missed it.
great circus.
It's this weekend too,
Is it this weekend?
Oh, I hope so.
I
I'm
thought,
going if
I
it's
don't
this
know, maybe
weekend.
I'm wrong, but I thought it was.
I gotta send my
I didn't
students
see any
a
advert.
message.
It was like
Advertising?
now or something. I'm like,
We have a circus class, and our circus is well-known, and people come from all over to be part of the circus.
I
And my
never received
BFFs
any email. I'm actually reading
Everything.
everything.
My BFF's boyfriend was in the first circus 50 years ago as a juggler. So he was like, let's go to the anniversary. And I couldn't believe what a big operation, big production. It was so cool. So
How
anyway,
did you know
her
about it?
from him,
Do you see?
he went back as an alum.
Sucks.
So from
Did you
the,
know about it?
I knew about it like Thursday, and then I saw an Instagram post on Friday or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't Instagram.
so the Hunter H Squared's birthday was Saturday. And so naturally I went, you guys, Hunter, H Squared's birthday was Saturday. And happy birthday. So I started singing happy birthday. And most of the class joined in, but there'll be like 2 or 3 people that just sit there and they can't do it. And I'll go, Janie, let's go, and that is such a key learning moment for me. What is it that keeps you from joining in there? And as far as I can pretty
That's my
tell,
daughter, she's such
H
a.
squared told me about it too. Sorry,
It's
I'm so
that-
sorry, I had an impulse.
yeah, good. H squared. What'd they say?
I'm so sorry, I interrupted
That's
you.
another
I
one.
had an impulse of that. No, they, because I looked at them and it was another person's birthday in class too. And I looked at them like, do you guys want us to sing to you? And they were like, please don't.
Okay.
And I was like, what about a good hip hip hooray? And they were like, that's fine. And Hunter was like, yes, they sang to me this morning. And
Oh, in the other class, I was not going to wait and ask permission. Better to. So, why did Jamie not join in and sing? I can only think it's this. They don't want to stand out, right? So what I'm contending is that it's important to learn to stand out, just like it's important to take speech class. And how do you do it? You practice it. It's a skill that can be practiced. Standing out is a skill. You just need to stand out just the right amount so it's uncomfortable. When I was in high school and grade school, I used to do the most bizarre behavior I could possibly get away with, because then people would say, oh, look, Jim's doing that bizarre behavior. And they would just go, oh, it's Jim. I bought myself freedom to do whatever I wanted. In social psych, we call that idiosyncrasy credits, because you're known for having these idiosyncrasies that, oh, you're the one who does whatever, right? What were you saying, Magda, when you were so rudely interrupted by me? I think you were saying
no,
something.
I interrupted.
Oh, you rudely
I
interrupted
was
her.
the rude one.
You were-
Sorry.
Yeah.
You were saying something, or?
No, I was just, I don't even remember at this point. I think it was about the
And
circus.
it's about your daughter.
Oh, my daughter is very introverted. So she is, one, she doesn't people to watch her. 2, she says, I don't want to sound stupid. And I'm like, whatever. And then she comes into me and something came out the other day and she's like, you know what? If you ever pushed me, I would be much better person by now. Oh, if I throughout her life make her like hug people or go and talk to people, then she would be much better. And I say, well, I tried, but at a certain point I stopped. And she's like, you should have done it, then I would have much better life. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
sure,
that's
thanks a
good.
lot.
Yes.
So, and then with my, this is something I talk about first day and continue all semester long, if I can just get the smart book to come up, which is the internal locus of control, which is saying we're in charge of our life. This is Julian Roderick. We're in charge, we're in the driver's seat of making our life happen. When you take that attitude, it's a way of being in the world. Obviously, there's things we can't control. But when you have that attitude of I'm the one in charge, it leads to self-efficacy and it leads to happiness. And when you have the other one, an external locus of control, it leads to learned helplessness and depression. So when I hear that, first thing I think of is she's saying it's your responsibility to make her into a, so this is the first thing we talk about first day is it's not my responsibility to educate you. It's not the library's responsibility. I'm a resource. It's your job. And then I go one step further, and that's great news because it means you can make your education into whatever you want. So I must go back to that almost every class. And then what I do is I also have I never pay for airfares. Like my last 12 trips to Europe, my last 4 to Hawaii, I didn't pay for the airfare. And they're like, well, how do you do that? And I said, well, there's 7 steps. So, I'll tell them to you, but they have to apply to what we're studying in psych. So the first one I start with is internal locus control, and then it's up to them to keep after me and say, what's the second step? What's the second step? We eventually get to it, it's delayed gratification. What's the next step? And then it's a weasel network of traveling people who are in the network and so forth. And I go down all 7 steps, so they have to drive it. I've got classes that get all the way to the end of the semester and have never gotten past step 1.
Wow.
But I've got one class now where Alex is in there. Every class, she's like, what's the next step? And then I go, well, what is Alex exhibiting right now? And they're like, internal locus of control. She's taken upon herself to figure out how in the Sam Hill am I doing this?
She really wants to travel.
Yeah, well, they all do, but they're like, yeah, but she wants to get it for free, which is within my price range. Free is my price range. So here's a yes and. Let's do a yes and. You ready?
Yeah.
So let's. Who wants to come up here and be our first two actors?
Yeah, I have to go in a minute, so I'll come up with Hunter.
Yay! So what you do is
You
what
both need to go in a minute, so that's why it's good.
what you do is you say something to Susan like, oh, I saw you at the circus the other day, and then you go with whatever she said. So you would go yes and something, and then you go yes and you just keep adding and adding and adding. So start with anything.
This cruise would be much better if there weren't so many cats around. I'm just saying, there are too many cats on this cruise.
Yes, and the cats are all over me when I try to do the different activities. When I'm in the pool, when I'm on the tightrope walking, the cats right there.
I was laying on a floaty just trying to sunbathe, and look, now you can see the outline of my tan. There's a cat outline.
I was wondering what that was.
Right?
Oh
I'm
my
like trying to
goodness.
get this nice tan, and I just see like this cat outline instead.
That's very interesting.
Yay!
Okay.
I might have taken improv class.
I love it. Oh, you might have. That's fantastic.
I was a theater major in undergrad.
Oh, cool.
You could tell.
I'm sorry, I gotta run.
Okay, see you, Susan.
I
Thanks
gotta
for
go in
coming.
3 minutes so I can watch a few.
Yeah. So
It's
the
interesting that after a while, they were just talking back and forth, and
Yes.
they left out the yes and.
yes,
It
but
it was just coming more natural.
It was
They weren't
implied.
forced.
I was thinking that same thing. It was implied. They start going with each other. In the world of improv, you basically virtually never go against each other. Never counteract what the person's saying. You always add something to it. Well, I find that extremely useful in the classroom because they will say something and it might be way wrong from what Erickson actually said. And I'll go, well, that's interesting because that would be this, that, or the other perspective. But actually the way Erickson said it, he meant this. So I go with anything they say, I go with it, whatever it is, and flow with that. All their comments, I say, any comment is good, any question is good, they're all good. I go with every comment. So I never am saying to them, you did it wrong, I'm putting you down, nothing like that. It's always with it. And the more I've practiced improv, that has really helped. That's gone right into the classroom. I took lessons at Second City, and I was scared shitless to go in that first class, and then I ended up taking 5 levels because it's so much fun. But I did it because my friend did it, and eventually I'm like, then he left there and he started telling stories at the Moth, which is a storytelling competition. And I'm like, dude, now I have to do that. So I started doing that, and then he after that he started doing stand-up. So now I'm like, Matt, I hate you. I'm gonna have to start doing stand-up now. Which imagine that. Imagine doing stand-up. Hey, be funny on demand. Okay, so then we get into different types of intelligence, and one of the big questions is intelligence entity. Is it something that just is what it is, or is it incremental, meaning we can grow it? That's a perspective. And then, which is, you could look at it that way. You could even look at it nature versus nurture. Depending on the intelligence, sometimes it is as much as 50% nature, which bums me out because I wanted to think it was 95% nurture. I wanted to think it was all grown, but no. So, okay, so this is a good one which I use in class where I'll have 2 students come up and talk at each other. So they're talking, but not having a conversation because they're not listening to what the other person's saying. And man, is that hard to do because we're so used to talking back and forth in life. And so for them to just talk, it's hard. And sometimes I'll get 3 of them up there doing it, and then I'll go behind them and become a 4th person. Or I might start talking in French. One time I had 3 students. One was in Spanish, one was in Polish, and one was in Arabic. and it just turns into a beautiful piece of music. I mean, and you feel like you're at a party because the voices are going over each other, so you're only picking up a little bit here, a little bit there, the way it is at a party where you can't quite hear. So that's a good one. It gets people are able to do it because they can force it easily. They can force the talking. That one works great in class and helps students the same as taking speech class. Then everyone's a little more comfortable because those people got up and did that. So, IQ is what we used to do to measure intelligence, and that was a bunch of people. We've got data that goes all the way back to early 1900s, which is really helpful. People have become increasingly more intelligent. The Flynn effect, which and then Sternberg came along with multiple intelligences, Gardner even more. And the one I like to look at in this context is Sternberg. And then other people came down the back pike and said emotional intelligence is another kind. Then there's some argument about whether or not we should even call that an intelligence because it's so different from the others. But I think equally.
You can learn through it. So if you can learn through it, there's an argument to be made for how it would be.
I would say
valid.
Easily intelligence is a great word for it. And Gottman's got a great book on how raising an emotionally intelligent child. In case anyone who's busy with the raising of children. John Cage is this really abstract musical composer from the 1900s. And he's got a great composition that he wrote called The Names Piece. And what you do is and you could do it with a whole room full of students. What you do is you say the name of everyone you've ever met. You just go. And everyone just starts. And you'll get to a point where there's a din of names, right? Then it dies down to almost nothing. And somebody goes, John Anderson, Barry Anderson. And it goes back up again. We did this in college in my music appreciation class. It's amazing because there are like 35 people in the room. That is a fun one. He used to give like geometrical shapes, draw them on a piece of paper and hand them to jazz musicians and say, ready, play that. And they would just do whatever came to mind for them. So this guy is great at getting way outside the box. And then Sternberg comes up with these multiple intelligences. The analytical one is what we're used to with IQ. Practical is the one I have none of. That's common sense. Street smarts, I'm like a blithering idiot in that world. And then creative is the ability to get outside the box. And what I'm arguing here is that we're shorting everyone on the creative. We're not doing enough of it. We're not valuing it enough. We're not just plain using our imaginations because I'm an incremental guy. Wherever I had that. I'm looking at intelligence as incremental. It can be grown. I don't think we're growing our creative intelligence enough. So that's why I play Wordle at the beginning of every class, or we play categories, or we play games of different kinds to get them outside the box. Nothing is more helpful than improv for doing that. So Mind Meld is a good one. Do you ever play that one? Does that ring a bell?
I'm trying to remember. If you described it to me, I might know it.
That's where you're ready because you have a 6 o'clock class.
Yeah.
You can just tell me you're
really
late.
quick.
You can just tell them you're late. Who cares? So
I'm the professor.
So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and on 4, you and I are going to say a word.
Oh.
And then we try and average it together until we're eventually saying the same word.
Yeah. That I hate it about.
Okay, you ready, Magda?
Sure.
We'll do it. So you get the idea. We're going to say a word, and then in our mind, we average those together, and then we both say a word, and we're going to keep doing it until we're saying the same word.
Sure, let's try.
Okay, and we'll do it on 4. So 1, 2, 3, battleship. What did you say?
Stove.
1, 2, 3, griddle.
Metal.
Metal. Oh yeah.
Metal.
1, 2, 3, alloy. Ooh.
Didn't know that right. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, rivets. What'd you say?
Mendeleev, the type of the alloys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in this one, you keep going until eventually you're saying the same word. You put your minds together. It's really crazy if you say the same word on the first try. Then everybody's mind gets blown. That's called mind blown. So I like thinking of them in terms of energy also. Analytical is about organizing energy. Practical is focusing it for a purpose. And creative generates energy.
So Jim, did you ever go to the deeper into why the students would not ask those questions?
They keep saying they were trained out of it in school. They don't talk about being shamed, only rarely, but my guess is that's happening more than they know.
But there's a negative narrative for them, though. A lot of times, I haven't talked to them. I'm new here, right? But we're in my family for a long time. There's just such negative talk. They've heard over the years about their intelligence, right? So they really feel there's nothing value. They have nothing of value to say.
Yeah.
Truly feel that way.
Right.
Very
And
sad.
that's why I'm careful. I'm very careful when they say something interesting. I'll go, wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
right.
Or that's a great perspective, or I've never thought of it that way. Or I'll go, in 10 years, I've been asking this question to students. I've never heard that answer. And also the particularly sharp students are really getting it going, which is usually, if there's 25 people, it might be like 8 people. I write them an individual email and say, you are such an excellent student. You're the kind of student every professor wants in their class. And I imagine that's got to be having a good effect, right? That is a strong message.
Yeah, my daughter has a math teacher right now, and the math teacher says, if you ask me one question, if you ask me any questions, you're gonna get an F. So shut up and figure out on your own, get in a groups.
Really?
And talk. If you wanna know, ask your neighbor. And then I'm kind of reviewing some of the work, and I know why. The teacher doesn't know.
Yeah, that's what I was
She
thinking.
doesn't know the answer to the questions because my daughter comes in and says, Mom, how do I do it? And I say, shoot, I forgot about it. But tell her what you did, it's correct. And each time Kaya goes to her and says, I did this correct, but you took the points away. And she says, oh, sorry, I must have made a mistake. And she corrects and gives her back points.
Wow.
It's true, though. It's very true. I have a daughter-in-law who teaches fourth grade, and she doesn't know the math she's teaching. It's taken her years to be able to say
So
math she's teaching.
could they point these people?
Junior in high school.
Oh my
How sad
gosh.
is that?
So could Kaya point her out in a lineup in case I needed to run her over with my car by accident?
Probably. I can show you her picture. I see her quite a bit. She's intimidated by me.
Wow.
She's very, very young too. And each time I ask her questions, she is freaking out. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'll stop. I do it kind of. Then I talk to my daughter, and she's like, "Thank you for doing it for me." Sure.
But you got to have some messages in there, the other messages, which I got the exact opposite from my family. So the whole time, there are other things my family didn't do well, but when it came to academics, everyone believed in everyone. They're all like, "You're going to do great at this. You understand all this stuff." When I went to school, I'm like, "Hey, I got this. This is going to be a piece of cake." Because I was just told that over and over again that you're going to do great at academics. They didn't know how to do interpersonal skills like communication. I had to figure all that out on my own because my parents just didn't have the skills. But academically, our whole family system, everybody all believed in each other and we were always teaching each other stuff, it was just standard procedure. So I walked right into school like, hey, this is going to be great. I already know how to play, so I had the whole ball of wax going. You might notice too, when, schemas, we don't want to update them, we don't want to change them. One thing I found funny is comedians set up a schema, then they tickle it to make you laugh. So like Stephen Wright will go, you know, if at first you don't succeed, then skydiving is definitely not for you. Like that, it sets it up, they set it up and then
I hate to
boom.
do this to you, but I gotta go. Sorry, Jen.
I hate that when that
Did
happens.
you have a chance to fill out the?
the
Oh, yeah.
If you could, that would be lovely.
Well, we're all done with our time anyway,
Mhm.
Jujubee, but be sure to take the, how do you Americans say, book club in the fall.
Okay, in
Yeah.
the fall, yes.
Oh,
The
it's
first
gonna
time
be-
people gonna get books for free, which is not, it's $19.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So
They
there
have
you
it in
go.
the library. But yeah, it's an easy saving.
Yeah, it's not a bad one to own at all. Not a bad idea to own that book. You can turn other people onto it and what have you.
That's my summer reading.
I'll be fascinated to see what you think of it, Margaret.
Cool. Yeah, well, I will be leading the book club, so. Not leading, I will be facilitating. I'm not leading it.
Facilitating,
Facilitator.
same as the French word facile, meaning easy.
How do you know French? Why did you learn French?
In school, I had 7 years of it and then I forgot it all. Okay, what do you want, caramel?
Why
milk,
would
or
you,
dark?
why would you take French?
Terry milk,
Oh,
caramel
no,
milk? or
I
dark?
want it, but I can't because I am trying to lose some weight.
Oh, nice.
So I feel
You're on
better.
Ramadan right now.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
She's got Lent,
yeah.
same as Ramadan.